Hello students, in continuity of chapter 12, biotechnology and its applications. In this lecture, we are going to study about biotechnological applications in medicine, transgenic animals and about ethical issues. In previous lecture, you have already studied about biotechnological applications in the field of agriculture. So, you are aware of the use and importance of biotechnology in this field. Now, let's talk about biotechnological applications in medicine. Recombinant DNA technology, these processes have made the immense impact in the area of healthcare by enabling mass production of safe and more effective therapeutical drugs. Further, the recombinant therapeutics do not induce unwanted immunological responses as is common in case of similar products isolated from non-human sources. This way it is very important for humankind. If we talk about present condition, at present about 30 recombinant therapeutics have been approved for human use the worldwide. The range is approximately 30 recombinant therapeutics. And if we talk about our country, in India, 12 of these 30 recombinant therapeutics are presently being marketed. So, it's a good sign for our country in this field, in this biotechnology application in medicine field, and it is very useful, important to mankind. As a part of biotechnological application in medicine, now let's discuss about genetically engineered insulin. All of you are aware of the disease known as diabetes. It's actually hormone-based, insulin-based disorder, and large population worldwide is affected by this disease known as diabetes. Management of adult onset diabetes is possible by taking insulin at regular time intervals. You know about this, its effect, it controls the blood sugar level. Now just imagine, what would a diabetic patient do if enough human insulin was not available? Just think about this. If you discuss this, you would realize that one would have to isolate and use insulin from other animals. Then it can fulfill the requirement of insulin in human beings, those who are suffering from this disorder. Now one more question arises in our mind, that is, in other population country, if we talk about diabetes, in our country also large population is affected by this disorder. Now one more question, would the insulin isolated from other animals be just as effective as that secreted by the human body itself? And would it not elicit an immune response in the human body? As you know, in human body, this hormone is secreted by pancreas, and it is main function, importance is that it controls our blood sugar level. If bacterium were available, just imagine that could we make human insulin, that is interesting here. Then we can produce large amount of insulin in laboratory. Suddenly the whole process becomes simple if we use such a kind of bacterium for production of insulin by using techniques of biotechnology. We can easily grow this bacterium in large quantity in laboratory condition, and large amount of insulin we can achieve. So this way can fulfill the requirement of human, those who are suffering from disorder, and they can fulfill requirement of insulin. Insulin that is used for diabetes, this was earlier extracted from pancreas of slaughtered cattle and pigs. Insulin from animal source cause some patient to develop allergy or other type of reactions also. That is its side effect. So to the in body of this type of patient, sometimes they cause allergy or other type of reaction to the foreign protein, because if any kind of this foreign body or substance is introduced the body of human being or body, immediately it gives reaction to this. Insulin consists of two short polypeptide chain, so one type of hormone and made up of polypeptide chain. So two short polypeptide chains are there. It is known as chain A and chain B. One is chain A and another is chain B. Both are short polypeptide chains and they are linked together by disulfide bridges. That is composition of this insulin is made up of two short polypeptide chains. In this figure we can study the maturation of proinsulin into insulin. This is actually important for this production of insulin in laboratory condition also. Here in this figure we can see those two short polypeptide chain present in the composition of human insulin. That is A chain, B chain, and this way insulin is possessed this A and B short polypeptide chain. Now for production of insulin, the maturation of proinsulin, insulin, it is generally it's a compulsory process. Then and then it can be useful. So by using this technology, biotechnology in this field, now it's a mature insulin can be synthesized. In mammals, including human beings, insulin is synthesized as a prohormone. It is like a proenzyme. The prohormone also needs to be processed before it becomes a fully mature and functional hormone. It means that it does not show its direct effect. First of all, it is converted into mature one and then it can be useful. So this way prohormone is contained extra stage is called C-peptide, which is absent in mature insulin. Now this C-peptide is not present in the mature insulin and is removed during maturation into insulin. Main challenge for production of insulin using rDNA recombinant DNA techniques was getting insulin assembled into a mature form. In 1983, an American company known as Eli Lilly, which is an American company, prepared two DNA sequencing corresponding to A and B chains of human insulin and introduced them in plasmids of E. coli to produce insulin chains. Chains A and B were produced separately, extracted and combined by creating disulfide bonds to form human insulin. So this way, by using this technique, biotechnology application in the field of medicine, this way in laboratory by using E. coli bacteria, this way the polypeptide chain which is present in insulin, two short chain, chain A and chain B, it were produced separately, extracted and combined by creating disulfide bonds to form human insulin. So this way is about genetically engineered insulin. Gene therapy is another type of biotechnological application in the field of medicine. If a person is born with a hereditary disease or we can say genetic disorder, can a corrective therapy be taken for such a disease? Generally, it is believed that with genetical disorders, they are not curable disorders. Gene therapy is an attempt to do this. Gene therapy is a collection of methods that allows correction of a gene defect that has been diagnosed in a child, or we can also say during embryo stage also. Here, genes are inserted into a person's cell and tissues to treat a disease. Correction of a genetic defect involves delivery of a normal gene into the individual or embryo also to take over the function of and compensate for the non-functional gene. So this way, by using this type of gene therapy, some genetic disorders they can be cured by using gene therapy in human being. So many genetic disorders are there. We have already studied about this type of genetic disorders also. Now, an interesting case we are going to discuss. First clinical gene therapy, it was given in 1990 to a 4-year-old child with adenosine deaminase ADA deficiency. This enzyme is crucial for the immune system to function. That is importance of this enzyme. The disorder is caused due to the deletion of the gene for adenosine deaminase. In some children, ADA deficiency can be cured by bone marrow transplantation. In others, it can be treated by enzyme replacement therapy, in which functional ADA is given to the patient by injection. By using this technique, the patient is provided by this type of therapy. Problem with both of these approaches that they are not completely curative. As a first step towards gene therapy, lymphocytes from the blood of the patients are grown in a culture outside of the body. It is grown in culture medium in outside of the body. Functional ADA cDNA, which is using a retroviral vector, is then introduced into these lymphocytes, which are subsequently returned to the patient. However, as these cells are not immortal, the patient requires periodical infusion of such genetically engineered lymphocytes. However, if the gene is isolated from these cells, bone marrow cells producing ADA, is introduced into cells at early embryonic stage, it could be a permanent cure. So this way, by using such a type of gene therapy, some diseases they are actually possible to cure this type of genetic disorder by using gene therapy in such some cases. Molecular diagnosis. Now you know that for effective treatment of a disease, early diagnosis and understanding its pathophysiology is very important. Using conventional methods of diagnosis, as we know, some common methods are there: serum and urine analysis and some other pathogenic tests. Early detection is not possible. Recombinant DNA technology, polymerase chain reaction, that is PCR. Now you know very well about PCR also, recombinant DNA technology also, and enzyme link immunosorbent assay. In short, it is also known as ELISA, are some of the techniques that serve the purpose of early diagnosis. So we can say in the field of molecular diagnosis. So pathological analysis is also there, but so conventional method of diagnosis, so sometimes early detection is not possible. So these three type of methods can be used to diagnosis earlier. That is first recombinant DNA technology, second PCR polymerase chain reaction, and third one is ELISA, it means enzyme linked immunosorbent assay. Presence of a pathogen like bacteria, viruses and some other pathogen is normally suspected only when the pathogen has produced a disease symptom, otherwise it is not possible. By this time, the concentration of pathogen is already very high in human body. Very low concentration of the bacteria or virus at a time when the symptoms of the disease are not yet visible, not observable, can be detected by amplification of their nucleic acid by PCR or polymerase chain reaction. Now, just imagine, assume that how PCR can detect very low amount of DNA. PCR is now routinely used to detect HIV in suspected AIDS patient. It is being used to detect mutations in genes in suspected cancer patients also. So this way for disease HIV, AIDS as well as for cancer detection it is also useful. It is a powerful technique to identify many other genetic disorders also. So this way molecular diagnosis is very useful for earlier detection. A single-stranded DNA or RNA, we can say this type of genetic material tagged with a radioactive molecule is allowed to hybridize to its complementary DNA in a clone of cells, followed by detection using autoradiography. Clone having the mutated gene will hence not appear on pathographic film because the probe will not have complementary with the mutated gene. ELISA is based on the principle of antigen-antibody interaction. Infection by pathogen can be detected by the presence of antigens. These are proteins, glycoproteins and some other, or by detecting the antibodies synthesized against the pathogen. So this way by using molecular diagnosis technique which is based on biotechnology concept, this type of some disease can be earlier diagnosed and it is very useful for human being. Transgenic animals. All living organisms, particular animals that have their DNA manipulated to possess and express an extra or foreign gene are known as transgenic animals. Transgenic rats, rabbits, pigs, sheep, cows and fish have been produced. Although over 95% of all existing transgenic animals were mice. Now, one question arises in our mind that why are these animals being produced? How can man benefit from such a type of modifications or transgenic animals? So, let's try to understand that some common reasons to develop this transgenic animals. Here some reasons are there to select transgenic animals. Let's study one by one all this type of common reasons to develop transgenic animals which are useful in the field of biotechnology and very important for human being also. First one, that is normal physiology and development. This type of animals which are transgenic animals and their genetic material DNA is manipulated this way by using various biotechnology, especially they are designed to allow some gene regulation, their effect and normal function of body. By introducing genes from other species, they are altered formation of this factor and studying the biological effects that result. Some example, study of complex factors involved in growth such as insulin-like growth factor. By introducing genes from other species that alter the formation of this factor and studying the biological effects that result, information is obtained about the biological role of the factor in the body. So this is about normal physiology and development. Second, study of disease. Many transgenic animals are designed to increase our understanding of how genes contribute to the development of disease. So this way it is very important to study various diseases. These are specially made to serve as models for human diseases so that this type of investigation of new treatments for diseases is made possible. So it is very important in the field of medicine. Today transgenic models exist for many human diseases, and these are some common diseases. These are cancer, cystic fibrosis, rheumatoid arthritis and Alzheimer's. So particularly for investigation of this disease and further processes, the study of this disease is important. Third one, biological products. Medicines required to treat certain human diseases can contain biological products, but such products are often expensive. Transgenic animals that produce useful biological products can be created by the introduction of the portion of DNA, or we can also say genes which codes for a particular product such as human protein. This is one example, alpha-1 antitrypsin used to treat emphysema. Similar attempts are being made for treatment of phenylketonuria. In short, this disease is also known as PKU, and one more, cystic fibrosis. In 1997, the first transgenic cow, Rosie, produced human protein enriched milk, that is 2.4 gram per liter. The milk contained the human alpha-lactalbumin and was nutritionally a more balanced product for human babies than natural cow milk. So by using this type of transgenic animals, such a type of biological products are achieved. Fourth, that is vaccine safety. What is vaccine? You know, it's very well. So prevention for some disease, and that's why the dead organism, pathogens cause for same disease, they are introduced to human body. For vaccine safety, the transgenic mice are being developed for use in testing the safety of vaccine before they are used on humans. As you know very well, when any vaccine is developed, new vaccine is developed, clinical trial is compulsory, and before performing on human being, it is performed on animals. And generally, so this type of animals, they are transgenic mice. These transgenic mice are being used to test the safety of the polio vaccine. If successful and found to be reliable, they could replace the use of monkey to test the safety of batches of the vaccine. So this way the transgenic animals, such a type of transgenic mice, some other animals, they are also useful in this field. Fifth one, that is chemical safety testing. This chemical safety testing is known as toxicity safety testing. Procedure is the same as that used for testing toxicity of drugs. Transgenic animals are made that carry genes which make them more sensitive to toxic substances than non-transgenic animals. They are then exposed to the toxic substances and the effect studied. Toxicity testing is such animal will allow us to obtain result in less time. So this way it is very useful technique, chemical safety testing. Here it gives us the result in less time also. So this way this type of transgenic animals, they are actually, why this type of animals are developed, some common results now we can understand. It's for normal physiology and development, study of diseases, biological products, vaccine safety and chemical safety testing purpose. Ethical issues. Manipulation of living organism by the human race cannot go on any further without regulation. Some ethical standards are required to evaluate the morality of all human activities that might help or harm living organism. If we talk about morality, going beyond the morality of such issues, the biological significance of such things is also important. Genetic modifications of organisms can have unpredictable results when such organisms are introduced into the ecosystem. For this purpose, the Indian government has set up organization known as GEAC. It means Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, which will make the decision regarding the validity of GM research, genetically modified research, and the safety of the introducing GM organism for public service. Modification or usage of living organisms for public service. It means the services like that, food and medicine sources, for example, and some other field also, has also created problems with patents granted for the same. So when we discuss about this ethical issue, okay, these two terms are important here, that is bio-patent and bio-piracy. Bio-patent. So actually a patent is the right granted by a government to an inventor to prevent others from making commercial use of this invention. There is a growing public anger that certain companies are being granted patent for products and technology that make use of the genetic material, plants and other biological resources that have long been identified, developed and used by farmers and other people of a specific region and country. Now patents are granted for biological entities and for products derived from biological resources. one more term, that is biopiracy. This term is actually used to refer to the use of bioresources by multinational companies and other organizations without proper authorization from the countries and people concerned without this compensatory payment. So that is biopiracy, generally it is known as biopiracy. So to understand about biopatent and biopiracy is important here. Now some more points regarding with biopatent and biopiracy. Let's study some examples also. Rice is important food grain. This is the presence of which goes back thousands of years in Asia's agricultural history. We also know it very well. There are estimated 2 lakh variety of rice in India alone. So many varieties are there. Diversity of rice in India is one of the richest in the world, we can also say. Basmati rice is distinct for its unique aroma and flavor, and 27 documented variety of basmati are grown in India also. There is reference to basmati in ancient texts, okay, and it has been grown for centuries. In 1997, American company got patent right on basmati rice through the US Patent and Basmati is trademark office. This allowed the company to sell a new variety of basmati in the US and abroad also. This new variety of basmati had actually been derived from Indian farmer variety. Its native is actually India. Indian basmati was crossed with semi-dwarf varieties and claimed as an invention or a novelty. The patent extends to functional equivalence, implying that other people selling basmati rice could be restricted by the patents. Now you can understand that is what is the role of biopatent here. Several attempts have also been made to patent uses, products and processes based on the Indian traditional herbal medicine. It is a turmeric and neem. Now this example we can easily understand. Then Indian basmati was crossed with semi-dwarf variety and claimed as an invention or novelty. Okay, so some more examples are also there. Some plants, some are also medicinal plant, some are also food grain. It's based on Indian traditional herbal medicine. But nowadays it is patented by some other country which is actually originated or its native is in India. This is some example of this type of traditional herbal medicine, that is turmeric and neem. If we are not vigilant and we don't immediately counter these patent applications, other countries, individuals may encash on our rich legacy and we may not able to do anything about it. Biopiracy, now you know very well what is biopiracy. Now biopatent is also, now you can understand very well. Most of the industrialized nations are rich financially but poor in biodiversity and traditional knowledge. In contrast, the developing and the underdeveloped world is rich in biodiversity and traditional knowledge related to its bioresources. Traditional knowledge related to bioresources can be exploited to develop modern application and can also be used to save time, effort and expenditure during their commercialization. There has been growing the realization of the injustice, inadequate compensation and benefit sharing between developed and developing countries. So that's why some nations are developing laws to prevent such unauthorized exploitation of their bioresources and traditional knowledge. If you talk about our country, in India, Indian Parliament has recently cleared the second amendment of the Indian Patent Bill that takes such issues into consideration, including patent terms, emergency provisions, and research and development initiative. So this way, in this field, this is very important to ethical issues, and this bio-patent and biopiracy, both terms are related with these ethical issues.